You're listening to the Mind Your Business podcast, episode number 33. In this episode, we're featuring another question of the week where we'll be talking about how to find the sweet spot between doing what you love, what you're good at, and what makes you money. So, stay tuned. Hi, I'm James Wedmore, and I've built a 7-figure internet business that offers the financial freedom to do what I want when I want. And I'm the first to say that hard work and hustle are not essential ingredients for your success. So, how do you build a thriving business from the inside out? This is the Mind Your Business podcast, featuring myself and co-host Phoebe Mroczek. All right, how are we doing? Sorry, we doing a podcast?
We are.
Yes.
We're supposed to be.
Yes, we're supposed to be. Sorry, I was at the club.
You at the club.
That's
funny.
Why is that funny?
I saw those dance moves at the wedding. Come on.
Oh my gosh, so mean. Yeah, I saw your dance moves too. What a jerk, huh?
I know. Come on, just take it. You don't have to reciprocate.
I don't have to dish it back out. No.
Exactly.
I'll be nice. We don't want to, tell the truth to our listeners. So, how you doing otherwise?
Great.
Other than when you're not making fun of me.
I'm great. It's a beautiful day in San Francisco, as usual.
Yes, as usual. That's normally what people say about the weather in San Francisco.
They do.
Warm and
it's
sunny.
always sunny here.
All year long.
Yep.
Ironically, it's really cloudy and murky down in Orange County.
Good thing I don't live there.
You know what's crazy is at the wedding, speaking of which, it had been cloudy and overcast the week and a half before the wedding. And then that Monday, day of my wedding, boom, 11 a.m., the clouds just like disappeared.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember in the morning, like I woke up early. I was like, oh no. And that's one of the situations where people say it's always good luck if it rains on your wedding day. And that's
such BS. Oh, come on.
Exactly.
It's like rain on your wedding day. Good old
Dial
Atlantis.
the volume down for that one. No, when I woke up that morning, it was like, I woke up at probably 9 o'clock. It was like, oh no, weather's not that great. And then, I don't know, I was busy in the morning, walked outside first thing in the afternoon and was like, oh my God, it is the most beautiful day. Yep. Those photos, like with the sunset, it was just amazing.
But here's the crazy part. Next day, boom, cloudy and murky again for the rest of the week. And it is today, a week later, still cloudy and murky. It was just that one day in between like 2 weeks.
I bet you manifested it, probably. Right?
Maybe. Listen.
Let's just go with that.
We'll go with that. So thank you everybody for joining us. This is another one of our weekly question of the weeks that we really are enjoying doing because this is a chance to get to know our listeners a little bit more and get to dive in on topics that you want to talk about, that you need assistance, guidance, and support with. So today's question of the week is one that we chose. We've gotten a lot, so it's kind of hard to choose them. So we're kind of just doing them in order we've gotten them. But I thought this was a good question. And, we did very little prep for this one because I'm not really sure what the answer is, but we're going to have a good conversation around it because I think it's a great question. So Phoebe, you want to ask the question?
Sure. So this one comes from Steve, and he says, can you dive into the concept of finding the sweet spot between doing what you love, what you're good at, and what makes money? Then how do I validate the ideas that birth from the list and then grow it into something profitable and impactful? Please expand on this concept. I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys. Cheers, Steve.
Okay. Great question. And who knows what the answer is? So
where we're going to go with this one.
Have you seen the graphic? Like people do it like an Instagram image. It's like 3 circles. It's a Venn diagram. And it's like, do what you love, do what you're good at, do what makes you money. And the sweet spot's like right in the middle. Mm-hmm. And there's like a little heart in the middle or something. I love that. I really do. Because like, if that's what you're doing, like, it's just, it affirms it. It's like, it's confirmation. It's like, yeah. So for all those people that are like, whatever you're doing in your life or your business, you're like, yeah, I'm good at it. I love doing it. And it makes me money. Like it's total like high five, However, if you're not, it kind of puts you into this like, oh, well, crap. So how do I fix that? And I think that's what Steve's question is really at. We'll just kind of have a conversation around it. So let's kind of play with it. Where do you want to start with this?
Well, one thing that I always notice is when you're drawing the Venn diagram, the circles are always the same exact size, which I find a little confusing because sometimes there are different Venn diagrams for different areas of your life or areas of business. I don't necessarily think the circles should be the same size because sometimes you love something a lot. Maybe you're not that good at it, or maybe just like that little sweet spot grows in certain directions. But do you know what I'm talking about? Does that make sense?
I do. Like, for example, I love working on my old VW thing. I love like getting into my mechanic's jumpsuit, but I don't love it as much as I love, what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I love it, but not as much, right? Is that what you're saying? Like the size of the circle has to do with like the size of the desire.
Right. And then I think it paints this picture that all of a sudden one Venn diagram should look the exact same as another one. And I think it varies, obviously, depending on different times in your life or different projects or, there's so many different variables when you're actually drawing that diagram. So I find it a little bit misleading, maybe.
It could be misleading. I mean, because I think the thing is, I think that's what I'm kind of getting at. I'm not saying it is misleading, but I'm saying it could be misleading. I do agree with that because, again, if you are doing something that you love and you feel that you're good at and you're making money, it's an awesome affirmation. It's like really confirms, like, you're doing everything right. Mm-hmm. But for someone that doesn't have that experience, it's like a total breakdown for them. So let's just kind of break these down. Doing what you love. So here's the misnomer that I think, which is probably the number one indicator, probably number one, number two. Maybe they're all pretty big indicators though, of like where the problem could be. Doing what you love. So for me, I love business and marketing, right? So I've told this story before, but I got my start selling an online bartending school. I hate bartending. I'm just going to say that. Like, I go out to a restaurant. This is a true story because I spent years in college after college being a server and a bartender. When we go out to dinner, I get like mini anxiety and panic attacks when I see how busy a server can be at times. You know what I mean? Like, it's a really busy restaurant and they're like juggling all these tables with all these people and all these demands. And the person sitting next to you is like, yes, and can I get it without this, but with a side of that? And then can you replace it? And it's like, oh my gosh. Like, it just brings me back to that time in my life. So here I was creating a how to bartend product. So in that regards, I didn't love bartending. I kind of despised it. Like, that was my way out, was to become the teacher of it, right? To show other people what I had done for years because I knew there was a demand for it. But I loved, still do, 8 years later, building a website and driving traffic and seeing the numbers and all that stuff. So I'm going to kind of put this down, and some people are not going to agree with me, and that's okay. But I feel like if you don't have a passion for business or marketing itself, that you are going to struggle with this for a while. Mm-hmm. Just all of it. It's like, this is what we call like the accidental entrepreneur, where someone's like, no, you can make money around your passion and all this type of stuff. And then you're like, oh, but by the way, you have to become a business owner. You got to know good marketing. You got to be really good at sales and pitching. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do, no. I just want to get paid for all this, thing that I'm really good at and I love doing. But at the end of the day, if we're talking to business owners, talking to entrepreneurs, like, there's got to be some fascination, obsession, love, and passion for business and marketing itself. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because for me, I've made transitions from teaching bartending to teaching YouTube to teaching business to teaching things like what we're talking about right now. It's just like the passion, just the love just increases. It's not changing. It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So to me, it's like, where is the love? Is it a love for video? Not really. Not really. I really don't like video that much. Like, that's the funny thing is I don't. I love using it as a tool to communicate a message and engage people on the other side of a planet and influence them to take action and build a relationship with them. But, people always come to me with it, and it always became a challenge for me because people come to me with like the latest, nerdiest, geekiest question of like, have you tried the new XP7 3000? What's the difference between that and this? And you're welcome for people who listened for my impressions. That was our nerdy pocket protector. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. I really don't care. But there are people that do, and they love that. And that's awesome, right? And I'm going to those people to get the answers. Mm-hmm. So my love has been around business and marketing. Everyone I talk to who runs a successful business, like, they have that. And they probably have a second love, which we'll get to that in a second. But I don't know. What about you? Like, what do you love, Phoebe?
So when I was 19, I started a Mary Kay business, which is a cosmetic MLM company. And when I started, I loved makeup. I loved being around successful women. I loved business. Like that was, I think we've talked about it before, but I've always, since the time I can remember, I had a scrunchie making business and a rock stand and a lemonade stand and all this kind of stuff. So it was just a matter of like being in business and the whole doing what you love. That was what I loved. I didn't necessarily know that much, like what I was good at. Like that, I think that circle was kind of a question mark. I was good at talking to people. At 19, I had some cojones, I would say, and I would go to Walmart and not leave until I had talked to 10 people and gotten their phone numbers and all this stuff. So I wasn't necessarily sure that I was good at selling makeup, but I knew that that's what I loved to do. And I knew the other piece of it was I knew it could make me a lot of money because there was a lot of proof. I was around a lot of the highest level Mary Kay ladies and in the city that I was working in. So for me, it was like I could combine all of those things. And even now, obviously, I love, James, you and I geek out over everything business and marketing. And so I have kind of turned that into what I love. And then it's sort of become what I'm good at because I really enjoy it so much. And obviously, I'm around enough people to know that there's a lot of money to be made.
Wait, did you say you had a rock business?
I sold rocks.
I'm sorry.
I did rocks.
Like pet rocks?
I love that you didn't even hear what I just said.
I tuned out after rock business, and that became my fixation.
Yeah.
Tell me about you. Wait, you painted and sold rocks?
Yes. So we'd like paint them with like little faces on. I mean, that was like a big thing.
How old were you?
I made a lot of money doing that. I mean, a couple quarters every weekend. It was awesome.
I'm glad you further clarified what a lot of money means.
I was like 6 at the time.
Wow.
I thought more.
That's awesome.
What I'm actually proud of is my scrunchie making business in 5th grade.
That's pretty cool. But Where'd you get the original scrunchies? Like, did you like sew them together, or how'd you get the material?
I went to Michael's or Joann Fabrics.
Oh,
or
so
whatever.
did they have like scrunchies there, and you just like added puffy
No,
paint?
I learned how to sew.
Wow.
I like actually sewed them.
Phoebe?
I clothes. Yeah, I'm like not as handy as I was back when I was 10, but yeah, it was pretty exciting. And I would sell them all to like, I was like back ordered. It was awesome.
So I don't think you loved scrunchies. Right. But you saw an opportunity and you got excited about that. And I think that's what we're trying to get across here with this first circle in our little Venn diagram is that I believe, and it's my theory, it's my opinion, that you're going to be much better off running a business if there is a passion in running a business. You love something about that. And sometimes people kind of wake up and they're like, I hate being an entrepreneur. I've had many people tell me that they just, like I just kind of want to check things off a to-do list and be told what to do and follow directions and not have to worry about something 24 hours a day. Right? Entrepreneurship people can paint such a wonderful picture of it. Mm-hmm. Oh, freedom, lifestyle, do what I want, work on the beach, blah, blah, blah. But they don't really talk about the other things that are commonly associated with it. For example, when it's 5 o'clock, whether you decide you're working or you're closing the laptop, that stuff sticks with you. Right? And I've learned it's a discipline as well to shut it off. Because over time you realize like this is always going to happen. If I don't consciously turn it off mentally, it's still going to be there. I mean, I remember my bartending days. I remember getting off work and be like, oh my gosh, I got paid. I got my tips. I could just go home and play video games and not worry anymore. Oh, this is amazing, right? You don't do that as an entrepreneur. You have to like relearn how to mentally turn it off, right?
I find that really difficult. And that's something, especially in Berlin, like when I looked at my life, there were days when I just like did not go outside and the only person I saw was the delivery man. Like that is not a very fun picture. But the picture I was painting was, oh, this is amazing and I can work whenever I want. But I was just always busy doing all these things on the computer and just being really connected to my online community as opposed to being a real person outside of the computer. Yeah. And with like friends and family, a lot of times if I'm with them and maybe it is the weekend and I have a call or we're recording podcasts and I can't do certain things, a lot of people I find don't really understand that because they're not in what we're in, which like they don't understand that it's not necessarily a Monday to Friday. It's like, no, we have designated times that we actually do things. But at the same time, if you want to hang out with me Tuesday at, 1:30 in the afternoon, I could probably make that happen. So I don't know. It's a really interesting position that I think entrepreneurs put themselves in.
Well, here's another one. And this is income certainty, right? So like as an entrepreneur, you have to be okay with the fact that your income isn't a sure thing. And, the smart thing is like set up systems and strategies that will make it as much of a sure thing as possible. Like we have a membership site and we have launches that we know we can predict how much money we're going to make from those launches. But until that's all in place and set up, there's a lot of uncertainty that keeps you up at night. And one of the fascinating things, which could be an indicator to determine whether you really do love this entrepreneur and business side of things, is I play this game with people all the time. What it is, I'll ask them this hypothetical question. I know hypotheticals are awful, but I'll sit there and say, okay, how much money did you make last year? Like take home profit money that, did not go to the hard costs and operating expenses in your business before taxes. And they'll tell me the number, or they don't even need to tell me. It's irrelevant. But when they have that number, I say, okay, if I paid you the same amount as a salary, but you had to come work for me, I'll let you do the same thing. I'm a great boss. You can still do what you're doing right now, what you're best at. Would you do it? And the answer to that question will really determine how much you love being an entrepreneur. Because there are people that'll be like, yes, please. Because now I know, like, no matter what I do, this job's guaranteed. I could tell them, I'll give you a 10-year contract to work for me. It's just a hypothetical, right? Be like, but they'll know that every year they're going to make that much money no matter what. And for some people, that is just total peace of mind. For all of my entrepreneurial friends, they just laugh. What? Absolutely not. Why? Because their mind immediately goes to what's possible. As an entrepreneur, sky's the limit. I could make more money. And that's what they love about being an entrepreneur. While being in a job just starts to bore them to death because they're doing the same thing over and over again, and their revenue is capped. There's no more possibility left. There's no more potential. One or the other is not right or wrong. It's just we're kind of just poking around to see, who do you identify with? What do you resonate with? What do you really enjoy? Are you willing to be the person that takes work home with you? I'm not saying you should, but it happens. But are you willing to do that? Think about it nonstop and work on the weekends and worry about the fact that, it's a fact that as your own business owner, there is an uncertainty of how much money you're going to make next month. I mean, I remember having those times where it was like, no matter how much money I made in January, come February 1st, I'm like, oh crap, I got to go do that again. I'm at zero again. And that's something I had to, learn how to stomach that. So I think there has to be that desire, that love, that passion for business and marketing and entrepreneurship itself. And then you could have another passion. But here's the thing. If I saw an opportunity for like, not video, let's say podcasting, like, okay, I could do that instead. It wouldn't make a difference to me. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I love podcasting. I have a passion for that. So I could, if it was 3D hologram marketing videos, like to me, that wouldn't make a difference. I wouldn't say, yes, I'm finally living my passion. You know what I mean? Like, so there's that to be careful about. And then, if I go look at restoring my old VW thing, I have a passion for working on cars. But as we get into talking about what makes you money, like until I see a way that that's going to make me money, I'm not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole. That's where I spend my money. Let me tell you, Phoebe. Let me tell you.
I know that. But I think also a lot of times some people, like when you consider having a job, I always think that, or a job or, your business or whatever, but I think that your business can do one of two things. It either is your passion or it funds your passion. And so when I'm looking at like my business or, for you, for example, you are looking at your business and it's, you might not make a business out of, redoing your VW thing, but that's funding your passion project.
Absolutely.
And I love having a passion fund a passion. Like that's ideal situation, right? But in certain cases, you might be doing something, that, you like it. It's making you good money. But on the back end of it, on the weekends, you have the financial freedom to do whatever you really are passionate about. You could go surfing, you could go, travel the world, whatever you want to do. But having one of those, I think planning that out a little bit better or just kind of conceptualizing that helps a lot of people, I find.
But if you're doing something you hate all week long to fund your passion, I think there's something wrong there.
Oh, right. I would never recommend that anybody does something they hate because there's so many opportunities out there to do something that you really do love. Yes. But I think when we're talking about the Venn diagram circles, you might really, really love to work on your VW thing and you might really like to teach people about video and that's okay. And you can have, those two different things and they don't necessarily have to be one and the same.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Well, let's look at this second circle. which is what you're good at. And so here is I think this is probably what is going to trip up a lot of people who are looking at this for the first time and saying, okay, well, what am I good at? What do I love? And what could make me money? That's the struggle, is you're approaching this from the outside looking in, like has never seen this before. And the problem is, at least in my experience, is that there's a lot of things that you don't know that you're good at because you've never done them before. Mm-hmm. And that's been my experience in running a business. That's what this podcast is dedicated to, because if you're an entrepreneur and you run your own business, you are the captain of the ship. And, you are the strongest and weakest link. And how much do we have to learn? That's why entrepreneurs love personal growth and self-help and all that stuff, because you realize that, wait a second, the more I invest in my education and my productivity and effectiveness as a leader and a communicator, the more I can grow my business. So I feel like diving into entrepreneurship, you get to discover all these things that you had no clue that you were good at or not. For example, I would have never said before business that I was an effective teacher. Like I look at one of my top strengths today is like, I'm a good teacher. Not a great public speaker. I'm not someone that's just going to move people to a standing ovation and bring them to tears and say, oh my God, that's the best presentation I've ever seen in my life. It changed my life. But I feel that I have a skill and an ability to get a message across to people in a way that they get it and understand it. Mm-hmm. And so that's my go-to strength that I go to, is that's what I'm good at. I had no idea that was something that was even remotely a possibility as a skill for me when I started my business. I discovered that.
Yeah, I think for me personally, when I started Mary Kay, I was an education major in college. I mean, I changed my major 7 times, but at the time I was an education major. I had no idea that I was good at selling. And it just put me in a position where I actually got to hone those skills and be like, hey, you know what? I'm actually really good at this business stuff. I'm good at selling things that I'm passionate about. I can get people on board with my message and my vision. When I had started to grow my team, and I immediately jumped ship and changed my major to business and marketing and was like, let's do this. But I never would have known had I not been in the situation of I got to make this work. This was really my first job. And so when everyone else was going out getting waitressing jobs, I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to make this work. How would I have known that I was good at that if I hadn't kind of thrown myself into the deep end, which is what I'm good at?
So that's the catch-22 here. Mm-hmm. Really, is that we're sitting here looking from the outside in saying, oh, okay, they told me that in order to build a business and be successful, I got to do what I love. I got to be good at it. And it's got to make me a lot of money. And I agree with that statement. But how are you supposed to know what you're good at if, it's something you've never done before? And you're only going to discover that by doing the work and jumping into business and trial and error. And then you just go, oh, wow, okay, I am good at this. Ironically, something that if you are good at it is going to guarantee you to make money, which is the next one, what makes money, is sales. Mm-hmm. If you're good at sales, you're going to make money. So as a default, why don't you just learn sales? That's what I'm just going to say to everybody. Just learn how to sell, because that'll make you money. Because, sorry, you can't run a business. You can't. I'm sorry. You can't run a business and not have sales be something that's at the top, either for you or someone on your team if you've hired a sales team. But sales has to be something that's it's got to be nailed down pretty quickly. Who's doing the selling? How's it selling? Right? I'm not just talking about the transferring of money for goods and services rendered. I'm talking about selling your idea, your concept, selling your vision. You got to get good at that.
I just listened to a really good audiobook. It's called Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff.
Oh, great book.
Oh, yeah. I just loved it. And I just so resonated with what he was saying. And again, I love audiobooks because I just go on a walk and listen to it. And you're just picking up little bits of information about how you can make your pitch, just resonate better or just more effective. That was such a great book. I loved it.
I also want to make another distinction here. And that the thing is it doesn't even have to be something you're good at. This is very fascinating. It just has to be something you can do. So, for example, I know a lot of people that have built successful service-based companies, or at least they've used service as a way to get to start their business. So, just to be able to go to someone and say, hey, we'll do this for you. Or, hey, let us run this for you. Or let us build this for you. Or let us maintain this for you. Isn't something you necessarily have to be the best in the world at. You don't have to be great at it. You're just doing something that someone else doesn't want to do and they're willing to pay to have it done for them, right? And if you're just, can do it to completion, fantastic. So that's something to like really keep in mind, because I think that's where like, well, what am I amazing at? What am I great at? It's like, you may not know yet. That might be in the works. You know, I think we've done some episodes or at least alluded to this, but my latest journey was discovering what leadership is and being a leader and what that really looks like. And I had no idea until I did it. And then I go, oh, kind of good at it. But I had no idea until I fell flat on my face, made a bunch of mistakes, and actually did it. You know, you can't be a good leader and then build a team. You have to build a team and make all the mistakes in the book and trial and error and figure it all out for yourself until you're like, oh, okay, this works. Okay, got it. Let's do this, you know?
Yeah. And one thing that I did recently was I polled my friends, like my business friends, and I said, what do you think I'm good at? Like, what are the 5 things that you think I'm good at?
That's cool.
And it was really just so interesting because I was like, this is open forum. Like, please tell me. I just want to know. I'm curious to hear what other people think of what I'm good at. And one thing that came back, which I thought was really, I don't know, something I never would have thought of, but this girl wrote to me and she said, what you're the best at is you are a figure outer. It doesn't matter what it is, you can figure it out and you don't have to ask a million questions. You just do it. And I was like, you know what? I never would have put that down as one of my strengths. I never would have even thought of that. But she's like, you have no idea how valuable that was. And, you know, obviously I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but I realized that.
You just did.
Exactly. I'm not trying to. I did. But,
amazing.
you know, I think that, I don't know, if you aren't really 100% sure about what you're good at.
Yeah.
Asking people, the people that you ask, I think is really important. Obviously, you're not going to go and ask your mom, and my mom's going to give me a whole list of random things that don't apply to my business. But asking the right people what they think you're good at will shed some light maybe on what that circle looks like for you.
Well, for me, my experience of, you know, here I was, still am this person who teaches YouTube marketing, been featured in all kinds of places and being known in the industry as the YouTube video marketing guy. Well, it all started for me when I was back at a conference and someone else in the audience needed help uploading a video to YouTube. Mm-hmm. And they uploaded and they're like, hey, can you help me with this? And I just like grabbed the laptop and I was like, do this, add this, change this, boom. And like I look over at them and their eyes and their mouth are just like dropped, like jaw drop. And they're like, whoa, that was amazing. How'd you do all that? And I was like, really? Did you think that was impressive? Like, I don't get it. What's the big deal? She said, that's incredible. Oh my gosh, I just learned so much. Let me write all that down. And for me, it was the opportunity to discover how much I take for granted what I know. And we all do it. So you may not think you're good at it because you do it easily and it comes to you naturally. It's not until you have an experience of someone else who's struggling and stumbling and getting frustrated that you're like, wow, I'm actually kind of good at this. So like trying to, again, like going back to what we were saying, like trying to figure out from the outside in, like trying to just make this decision, oh, this is what I'm good at, is really hard to just come up with until you really put it into context and comparison and contrast to, like Phoebe said, people who observe you and know you, or other people that could be your ideal customer, you know, or just doing the work and discovering the skills for yourself. So that's a good one. Now let's take a look at this third circle in the Venn diagram, which is what makes me money? Well, anything can make you money, you know, so it's really about discovering like what are the principles of making money. At the end of the day, a business is there to make money. Its job, its function, its sole function is to generate profit. And that happens when the business solves problems, provides solutions in exchange for money. And hopefully the money received is more than the expenses or the cost needed in order to solve that problem. And the difference between the cost and the sale is your profit, right? So it's really about saying, okay, well, where's the problem? So is what you're good at something that could solve a problem that someone is willing to pay for? And if so, you might be onto something there, right? And this could be an entire episode in itself. Like, well, what are the problems that I could solve? Well, the biggest problem we see right now is time and money. That's what's plaguing the industry that we're in, like you wouldn't believe, and just most people in general. You know, I read this stat because we went through like premarital counseling with Chelsea and I did, which I guess it sounds weird, but it's basically, he's our relationship coach and he was actually our officiant who took us through at our wedding. And he shared this, and I forget the exact stat, but it was like the number one topic or reason that people fight in a relationship, any relationship, but usually married relationship, is money.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's money, right? So we're not just talking business here. Like money is a pervasive problem. It's an issue. I mean, money isn't a problem, but I mean, the problem of money is a pervasive one. And so is time, right? I mean, every day I hear someone saying, I don't have the time, or I don't have time, or And so if you can solve either of those or both for somebody, you're onto something. If you can help people save money or make money, if you can help people save time or get their time back, and if you can do both of those, you're onto something. Those are usually things people are willing to pay for. James, that doesn't make sense. Why would someone pay money in order to save money or make money? Well, that's what my entire business is built on, if you think about it, right? So people absolutely will. So what will make you money? Selling something that solves a problem. What is the problem? Identify the problem. What is the problem? The problem is always a lack of what is wanted. It's an absence of wanted. So what do they want? They don't have it. And why? What's in the way? That's what we call problem. If I solved this for that person, would they be willing to pay for that? Would they be willing to pay? Is there proof that somebody else has done this successfully before? Has anyone else tried to solve this problem and get paid for it? I created my own. Do you know how I created my online bartending school? It wasn't rocket science. See, a lot of people are trying to approach this, and we've had other questions about how do I know if it's a good idea or not, or should I give up on my idea? Listen, my advice, especially for your first business, stop trying to reinvent the wheel or try and invent your own wheel. Take what's working and modify it. I got a flat tire on my way to class in college, and my flat tire ended me up right in front of a bartending school. True story. So I went to go get the tire fixed, and I'm sitting around waiting, and then there's ABC bartending or something like that. And I walked in there. 5 minutes later, I walk out. I did not have a lot of money to my name, and I paid this guy $800 to go to a 2-week-long bartending school. And as the buyer's remorse kind of set in, I was like, damn, $800, that's a lot of money. But the guy was such a good salesman, because he was just saying, he's like, once you have a job as a bartender, you're making $400 a night easily. I start going, and I could work 5 nights a week. Oh my gosh, $800 and I can make all this money. So the idea for my online bartending school came from, I really just said, well, wait a second. Here's this guy doing $800 a pop. And you got to drive there, and it's 2 weeks long, and it's expensive. What if I just made a cheaper virtual digital version? Do it from the comfort of your own living room, your home, your office, whatever, and it's a lot cheaper. It's $200. And it worked. Totally worked, right? So I wasn't trying to just invent something from scratch. Like, okay, here's an app that will send you nice, cool messages throughout the day. And those things already exist, but that's what I always suggest. It's like, start somewhere that is in the realm of what could work, what has worked, where's the proof, right? Because the funny thing is that if we look back to Steve's original question, is he asks, then how do I validate the idea and grow it into something that is profitable and impactful? So I think people have this a little backwards, or they're just looking at it funky. Someone says, I want to validate my idea so then I can then make it profitable. And that's just not how I look at business. Because I'm not trying to create Facebook here. I'm just trying to create a life that, serves me and helps the people that come hang out with me, right? So I don't validate my idea and then try and make it profitable. I try to make the idea profitable, which inherently validates it.
I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. So you start looking at what you love. If you love business, if you love the idea of entrepreneurship, maybe you don't know. Okay, well, you're still listening to this podcast, so I'm going to give you a huge clue. You like something about it, right? You're still listening. Okay? What are you good at? You don't maybe necessarily know, but you don't need to be good at anything. Here's a great Instagram image I found. It's actually on my good buddy Lewis House's Instagram feed. I don't know whose it is, though. It says, 10 things that require zero talent. Being on time, work ethic, effort, body language, energy, attitude, passion, being coachable, doing extra, and being prepared. So you may not know what you're good at yet. That's your chance to discover it. You may be taking what you're good at for granted, and that's an opportunity for you to discover that. But then you got to find out what's going to make you money. What is the quickest way that you could find proof and validation of your idea? Well, you find a way to make it profitable as quickly as possible. You start with selling it first. When we teach creating your own online courses and programs to our students, the thing that I teach is say, you got it all backwards. Everyone's trying to spend months creating the perfect course, and then they try and sell it, only to realize that their first course was a total flop. Say, sell the idea first. Get paid to create the course. James, how could you ever do that? That's crazy. That sounds crazy. We do it all the time. My students do it all the time. But in that philosophy and in that methodology, you're validating the idea because people are paying for the idea. And then you create something around it. So we'll sell it as a beta program. We'll sell it as a live boot camp that you're going to get new training every week. That's how we continue to validate new ideas.
Yeah, I think that was a huge shift in my mindset a year and a half ago, maybe, when I sold my first Facebook market, because my Canva one, actually the Canva one, I'll use that as an example. I had nothing, when we've told the story before, when you were like, what are you selling? And I was like, oh, nothing. And I ended up selling it and then creating it as I went along. And to be honest, it's just such a stress-free way of doing it, because I know that so many people build these amazing programs, and then there's so much pressure on the webinars, on, any kind of video series that you're doing, and you're just kind of sitting at home hoping and praying that people are going to come, build it and they will come. But if you just flip that and you actually look at it from, let's see if anybody's actually interested in this, and then I'll build it. And then you incorporate feedback and just make it a more effective or just an easier solution, I think, is the best way to go about doing that. And I hear all the time that people say, oh, I built this program, and then crickets. And I just feel like, you've got it all wrong. And if
you wasted a lot of time. It's sad.
Oh, it's awful.
But
and
we've all done it.
Bad.
We've all done it. I definitely did it.
Oh, totally.
So there you go. Any clarity, any insights or ahas from this? Steve, I hope this helped. I think these cool little catchy quote images of do what you love, do what you're good at, and do what makes you money are really great at, reaffirming and confirming someone that is doing that. Yeah, I'm on the right track. It feels good. I know I'm doing that, right? But if you're not at this moment, it can be a challenge and a breakdown to take a look at that. Because now you're scratching your head and rubbing your chin like, well, what the heck am I good at? How is that going to make me money? And you're trying to kind of jam the square peg into the round hole of okay, I got to figure out, it's like these puzzle piece combination. I think we're just overthinking it. It starts first and foremost, have a love and a passion for business, entrepreneurship, or marketing. You have to have that at some level. If you hate it, if you hate selling, you hate business, you hate that stuff, how can I give you any advice on how to build a business? Just don't do it. And the thing is the answer is not for everybody to have their own business. A lot of people will say that. It's not. There's nothing wrong with having one or not having one. It's just your personal preference, but it has to start there. Then, of course, you can always look, well, what else do I love doing? Or what aspect do I love about business? Is it, I love speaking, I love coaching, I love teaching, I love marketing, I love writing, what is it? Right? And that will be an indicator as to what you're good at. And then you got to find out a way to solve problems, to help people in a way that they will pay you for it. So this really gets clarified when you suit up, get into the arena, and start doing the work. If you're trying to figure it all out first, I think you're going to continue to scratch your head. What I want to encourage is just say, jump in, get your hands dirty. Do some work. It's a discovery process. It really is. It's not about figuring out these three things first and saying, I've got the answer. Okay, now boom. It's all going to be easy. It really is stumbling around and finding it's a process.
Yeah, it's a one foot in front of the other. Just get started. And then, your business will evolve over time. And who knows what you're going to be doing in a year's time. But that all starts from today, from taking action after listening to this podcast and going and actually trying a few things out and seeing what works and what doesn't, and then going in the direction of, for me, it'd be ease and effortlessness. Go in that direction first and then continue. Yeah, your business will evolve.
So there you have it. Steve, thank you again so much for the great question and the great conversation that it started here on the Mind Your Business podcast. If you would like to be featured in one of our Listener Question of the Week episodes, all you got to do is head over to mindyourbusinesspodcast.com and submit your Listener of the Week question there. We would love to answer your question on one of our next episodes. Also, if you haven't yet left us a review on iTunes, Phoebe and I would absolutely love and appreciate if you could go do that right now. It'll take just a moment of your time, and we listen or read every single review that comes in, and it really does make our day and fuel our passion for getting more content out there to all of our listeners. So to leave a review right now, all you got to do is head over to www.jameswedmore.com/iTunes and share your thoughts and feedback with us right over there.
Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next episode.
Take care. Are you frustrated that no matter how hard you hustle, no matter how much you get done in a day, you still feel like you have little results to show for it? Do you feel like you're doing everything right, but there's still something missing? Well, what if there was an easier way? What if your business could be fun, effortless, and profitable? Phoebe and I have put together a free audio MP3 for you, compiling the 77 business affirmations for creating success from the inside out. And we want to give it to you absolutely free. This is your chance to rewire your brain for bigger results in your life and your business. To get instant access absolutely free, simply visit 77affirmations.com. That's the number 77affirmations.com.